Good day everyone. So today we are tasked to discuss the lesson 8, which is the legal and ethical use of technology. So without further ado, let's start.
Legal and ethical use of technology. Technology and software issues are also elaborated in order for you to be aware and be guided in doing the right thing and avoiding unacceptable acts that may lead you to committing mistakes or possible software and technology crimes that's against the law. Ethical use of school technology. When we are young, our parents used to teach us the right behavior and etiquette. Even in our school and classes, there are certain behaviors and ethics we need to observe to achieve a healthy relationship with teachers and classmates.
Here are the ethics for computer use. Use the computer to help people and not to do harm. Our focus must always be improving other people's lives and not the other way around. Use your own assigned computer unit. Use the computer using your own files and not to use others' files. We must always remember to respect someone's privacy and intellectual property. Use the computer to share information and not to steal others' information. Use the computer to spread truthful information and not to do character assassination. Considering that the computers are used for good of the public, we must also consider that we must never spread malicious and unjustified harming of others' reputation. Use softwares that are original and legal. Use others' computer resources with permission and not to duplicate without authorization. Softwares that are reproduced without permission are contravention to on copyright. Use your own work and not the work of others. Use your computer that shows respect and consideration for others and not tolerate cyberbullying. Here we must consider the Private Space Act. And lastly, create programs or software having in its social impact and not for one's self-interest.
Ethical issues in technology. First, unauthorized access and use of hardware, software, network, and computer files. There are many cases when we want something to keep private and would not allow others to use it, as our diaries, messages in our phones, and emails, and many others. Some tips in carefully creating a password. So first, use at least a character. So pag butang ikaw kang password, kailangan mo nga bisan letters lang or characters. Second, use a combination of upper and lower case letters, words, numbers, and special characters. So second tips, kailangan mo i-combine ang words, number, or other nga, example, slash or number sign, asterisk, like that. Third, use join words together or ang words nga, for example, may big letter, may small letter. 4, use words from other languages. So, kung may dyan nga nakaano sa mong keyboard karian, pwede mo ran magamit as your password. 5th, add one or more numbers at the beginning, middle, or end of a word. So, sa kada or sa formiro imo nga password, pwede ka mag-insert kang number sa center or sa katapusan kang password nimo, pwede mo mabutangan it number. Number 6, use a password that can remember easily. So, kailangan mo magbuhat kang password nga dali mo lang madumduman. For example, ang imo nga birthday, pwede mo ma-set ka password ang imo nga birthday para hindi nimo gid malipatan, para dali mo lang ma-access ang imo nga cellphone in case of emergency. 7, select a password that can be entered easily even without looking at the keyboard. So, pwede man nga mag-create ikaw ka password nga bisan di rin ikaw mag-turok sa imong keyboard nga pwede rin nimo maklik ang imong nga password para mag-open ang imong nga cellphone or computer. 8, Do not leave written copies of your password anywhere. So, pag abi lipatwan ikaw, hindi mo pag-ibilin or hindi mo abi basi bla madura. So, kailangan gidra mong sinulat nga password, kailangan nimo nga itaguon nimo nga ikaw lang ang makakita basi bla mawigit nimo. So, ang iba makakita, so ma-access nandang imong nga computer, ang imong nga cellphone or ang imong social media account dahil sa password nga imong nadura or sa imong nawigit nga password. Ngayon, do not share your password to anyone. So dapat pag password ikaw lang nakamaan. Hindi mo pagsugid sa iba nga ang password mo amo mo to. Hindi pwede kay base bla ang sinugidan mo is igamitan na ang account mo. So ang mga private nga messages nga to or files kang imo nga computer or imo nga cellphone maman anana.
And now let's proceed to hardware theft and vandalism. These two are the security challenges that are encountered by the school administrators and teachers. So, hardware theft talks about stealing the physical hardware or the computer equipments, while the hardware vandalism talks more about the defacing or destroying of computer equipments like cutting of cables or breaking of computer screens. So next is the software theft. The most common form of the software theft is software piracy. Why? Because software theft occurs when someone steals software media, erases a program, intentionally copies the program or register or activates the program. So in order for them to protect themselves from software piracy, the manufacturers create a license agreement wherein it provides conditions or terms in using the software. So next is the information theft. This is a computer crime where one deliberately steals information for purposes of studying how to compete with other organizations or companies. This is commonly experienced through emails, cell phones, or text messaging devices and blogs. The loss of information is more damaging than the effect of the software theft and the hardware theft. Why? It's because business and home users are both victims of information theft. So there are many examples of information theft, and one example is a company which steals information to know the secrets of the business competitors, and another one is a corrupt individual who wants to steal credit card numbers through hacking in order for them to have fraudulent purchases. That is why we have to be mindful of the personal informations that we put online, because sometimes even our social media accounts can be used by the professional hackers in order for us to be victims of information theft.
Spam. Spam is an unwanted message being received through emails, discussions, text messaging devices, and others. Phishing. Phishing may also be called as carding or spoofing. Malware. Malware is a malicious software that causes harm to one or more computer. Adware. Adware is a software that incorporates the presentation of advertisements and condition for operating the software. Acceptable and unacceptable uses of school technology. Schools may have different rules and regulation or policies in implementing acceptable and unacceptable use of school technology.
Here are the examples of acceptable school technology. Being polite and using appropriate language. Technology, especially social media, is a public platform which can easily be accessed by children. Let us always be respectful. Deleting unwanted messages or old data from computers and servers. If a computer is previously owned by someone which contains confidential files, better delete those files and respect their privacy. enforcing appropriate use and reporting issues or security issue, running antivirus software in files, attachments, or disks. These antivirus softwares will protect the device from hackers, data thieves, unwanted ads, spyware, and phishing attempts. Signing correspondence using online time efficiently and using the internet ethically and legally.
So earlier we have discussed the examples of acceptable use of school technology. This time we'll be discussing about the unacceptable use of school technology. Point number 1, altering software by deleting files, downloading programs, or copying or installing unauthorized files or programs. So computers that are owned by the school usually only have software for educational purposes. So if you alter software, if you download programs, or if you install unauthorized files, you may expose the computer to certain viruses, and also you are disturbing the lab tech. Number 2, assuming the identity or using the password or materials of another. So this is identity theft. So as using the password or materials of another, that would be called plagiarism. Number 3, conducting commercial activities, advertising products, or taking part in political lobbying. Number 4, downloading text, graphics, or software, engaging behaviors that may be considered obscene, abusive, libelous, indecent, vulgar, profane, or lewd. So anything that is an SFW or not suitable for work content that is not allowable in the it is an acceptable use for school technology. So number 5, gaining access to any pay-for-view site. For example, a good example of this is Patreon. So in order to be able to see the pictures or the content within Patreon, you need to pay. I don't know how much, but depende yan sa rates ng artist. So, number 6, giving out your own or others' private information, such as address, phone number, or password. So if you give out your own private information, you are susceptible to other identity theft. Number 7, harassing an individual using the internet. That would fall under cyberbullying. Number 8 is plagiarizing. You copy an article from the internet without citations. You are susceptible for plagiarizing. Transmitting material that violates any local or country's regulation or obscene material. So if you transfer from file to file, any material that is an SFW, so it is an acceptable use for school technology. Next, number 10, we have vandalizing equipment, digital files, or willfully spreading computer viruses. So vandalizing equipment, you may either steal the equipment, you may draw something on the equipment, or you willfully spread computer virus, you put virus in the computer.